in February 2020, I was approached by an insolvency practitioner with regard to a national facilities management contractor. They were engaged with as to whether I could turn the business around. This was a company that was trading for about 30 years, but it had been acquired by a new owner and his wife about 3 years previous. The company worked for many of the well-known brands in the country, including the major supermarkets and other top high street names. The first problem I found when I started to look deeper at the business was the owner had no experience of the business or even the industry. He actually had no experience of running any business at all. His qualification and previous role was as a solicitor, and his wife a stay-at-home housewife. So I struggled to understand why they bought the business, given their own lack of expertise. From the day they took over from its previous owner, the business had slid into a decline. The owner had no experience of managing people or the commercial process of quoting for contracts. He didn't understand the technical delivery, and from what I could see, didn't understand business in general. Every time the phone rang, the company was losing money attending jobs, and the owner had signed off on those contracts. The other glaringly obvious problem, it employed 46 engineers based around the country, but also had 18 staff in the office managing them. So for this industry, you'd aim to have about 1 to 6 non-chargeable versus chargeable staff as a minimum, but in this business, the ratio was closer to 1 to 2. This was another example that the owner was out of his depth, adding more office staff to try and fill his own lack of experience. The final straw was when I discovered that the owner had also owned the office premises in a separate company. He was charging the contracting business a huge amount of money to rent the building, and he was less interested in the contracting business and more interested in making passive income from that rental. That's fine if the contracting business is run properly, but in this case, he had no idea how to run the business. This is the classic example of having the wrong person running the business. We looked at a few options to see if we could turn the business around. First option was to getting rid of the biggest loss-making contract, which was with one of the major supermarket groups, but this made up 70% of the workload. So whilst the other contracts made up a little bit of profit, as soon as you remove 70% of the staff, now the engineers have to travel more, and those contracts also start losing money. If we had more time, we might have been able to add a few contracts and perhaps then tag it into another business. But with this one, we literally had 2 weeks to sort things out in it. So unfortunately, we weren't able to fix this one. But it shows how bad things can go with a business that's on the face of it should have been very successful. But it all came down in that case to not having these foundational pieces in place. In particular, the team element. If they'd got the team element fixed, the person running the business would have noticed the signs and had a lot more time to fix things.